Good morning. How's everybody doing today? I'm gonna open up the chat here because I want this to be interactive. So good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We are gonna start right on time today. All right. Perfect. All right, we've got some attendees rolling in. Good morning, Elizabeth. Hi, sister. All right, so today this is super exciting. We've been talking about the buyer presentation for how long now? We've been talking about the new buyer broker agreement. We have to know this in and out, right? And we have to be really comfortable with presenting our value. So what my mom, Angelique, and my sister, Sam, have been working on for the past couple of weeks is taking what our buyer script is and how we are going to present the buyer broker agreement. And I basically said, this is how I do my presentation. And they said, okay. And they made it beautiful for us. So we now have a brand new buyer presentation that is printable for you to take on your appointments. And by the end of the week, we are going to have it in a horizontal version as a Moxie presentation. So it is going to be ready for you. We also have Jeff Beggins working on, you know, how we have that listing video where with Jeff's voice, and it's awesome and it's really impressive to show to our sellers. We are creating one of those for the buyers also. So when you have your Moxie presentation, tell me in the chat how excited you are for this, by the way. I want to hear it from you guys because this is awesome. And what other brokerages are literally spending all of their time and energy giving you guys all of these resources. Like we are working round the clock for you guys to have these resources available. And we are super excited. Yes, so exciting, stoked, amazing. I know you guys, we do this for you and we love it. And all of our energy is going into it. So I hope you love it. My mom is so excited about it. Ange made it look really good. Spoiler alert, it's like luxury. We've really stepped up the game here. So I'm going to share it today and we are going to go over. Also, this is like first look, okay? This is fresh, like maybe just got wrapped up this morning, but it's really, really good. And it's going to be by the end of the week in a horizontal version. So, you know, right now on Moxie, it's long and then you scroll through the pages. We're going to reformat it. So it's going to be formatted for a printed version for you to take on appointments, but also formatted for Moxie in that presentation style. So it's really classy and we are going to stand out against the competition. Are you guys excited? Very appreciative. Yes. Yay. Okay. We love you guys and we want to be the best in the business. And this is how we're going to do it. So we've kind of looked at what other companies are doing and we're taking some things from that, but we're really good at what we do here at Beggins too. So this is our Beggins process in a really, really pretty presentation. So without further ado, I guess it's only 9:03. We've still got some people coming on. If you've got agents, yes, we do set the bar, Lauren. You're right. And we set it very high because we love our clients and we love our agents and we want to be the best in the business. So we're super excited about this. When I'm done here, we are going to share this out to everybody. So you can go ahead and print it. But again, the Moxie version of this is not going to be ready until hopefully the end of the week, if not next week. Okay. Michael said, I assume we can take it to our meeting with buyers on my tablet. Yep, absolutely. You got your tablet available. You can scroll through it right on your tablet. And then when it's in Moxie, it's going to be in that horizontal platform, which is great. So we've been talking about the buyer broker, answering all of your questions for weeks, and we are still going to continue to do that. But what I wanted to do today is more of, we know we've got this change. It hit yesterday. We have to get this thing signed. So how are we going to do that? So I'm going to go through this new buyer presentation so that we can show our value to the clients. Let's go ahead and hop in. I am super pumped to share this with you guys. All right, we are going to share the presentation. Oops. All right, we've got some. It is so weird not seeing the compensation, Lauren. I just automatically scroll down to the bottom of the MLS like, oh, what's going on down here? Oh, nothing. Cool. There was a change and it's happening and it's here right now. So what are we going to do about this? And we have to present value to the buyers. So I'm also seeing a lot of things out there right now where it's like, buyers aren't going to want to sign this long-term agreement with you as an agent, but yes, they are, because we are good at what we do and we love our clients and we want to see them get the house that they love. Like, this is the whole point. It's the whole reason we do what we do. So if we show our value, they are going to sign this. And I do think that this needs to be our number one priority, is getting the buyer broker agreement signed for a long term. If they're really reluctant and they're giving you this pushback and everything, we have other options. And so that's what our Wednesday meetings are for, is kind of role playing through these objections. And if they're really not going to sign a long-term agreement with you, then there's alternatives. But let's make our goal getting the buyer broker signed up front. And I'll tell you too, I mentioned it on the meeting yesterday, if you guys were on the sales meeting, getting that buyer broker agreement signed really puts another level of commitment, in my mind anyways, knowing that I have a buyer who's ready, willing, and able to pay me 3% of the purchase price to help them buy their house feels almost like I have a listing agreement signed with them. Like, I have to be checking in with them weekly. It kind of feels, it's an elevated level of working with a buyer that we haven't really had before, right? Buyers are always like, oh, they're just looky-loos. Buyers are liars. But I don't know, this elevates it a little bit. So they're elevating their experience with us by signing a written agreement. So how can we elevate our value to them as the buyer? Let's really show them everything that we do as a buyer's agent. And this presentation that my mom and my sister put together does just that. So I'm really excited to share. So it looks like, Jennifer, yes, you got 2 signed with 1 year. I love it. Congratulations. That is a huge accomplishment. Honestly, getting somebody to sign a document saying you are my agent for the next year, you should feel super proud of yourself. And I can't wait to hear more stories from other agents doing this. It's going to help us feel more comfortable, and we're going to be able to like really show our value. And I think that it will generate more client referrals from this. And you know what Joe said yesterday on the meeting, where we have been kind of on the hook for what the sellers are going to pay us, we can get paid 3% now as a buyer's agent, which is huge. We work really hard as a buyer's agent. So I think this could be a really great stream of business for us. And I think our commissions can raise now, which is awesome. Congratulations, everybody. We just got a raise. So let's earn it and let's show our value. More accountability on both sides. That's so true. So true. All right, ready? Drum roll, please. Michael says, oh, we're not there yet. Drum roll still going. With the EBBA transaction broker, the buyer is no longer a liar. They might, yeah, hopefully they're going to tell you the whole truth and you can pry it out of them. But that is true. We've got more commitment on both sides. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see this in the chat. I've got the chat open here. So if you do have questions as we're going through, let me know. But the whole goal behind this is I'm going to kind of walk through it as if I were presenting it to a buyer. So welcome to our brand new home buyer's guide, guys. We are so excited. All right. The home buyer's guide for your home ownership journey. We have all 3 logos down here. So no matter what part of Beggins you are, this is for you to use. All right. Wow. Love the look. Yes, Sarah, I know this is my mom's pride and joy. Okay. We're very excited about it. Yes, it's a whole new level, guys. All right, so congratulations. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me. Buying a home is a very exciting journey, but there's a lot that goes into the process. So what I'm going to show you here is how we are going to guide you through the process and represent you throughout the transaction to get you to the closing table. So we do understand that this is one of the most emotional and exciting times in your life. We take this responsibility very seriously. And you're not just hiring me at Century 21 Beggins. We have a company that's been around for over 30 years. We have over 500 agents. You're not just hiring me, you're hiring our entire team. We've sold over 50,000 homes, and it's really shaped us into a highly efficient organization. So we've got your back. All right, so here's what to expect throughout the transaction. We're here right now in this initial consultation where I'm going to learn about your wants and needs, and you'll be able to learn a little bit about Century 21, understanding the financial preparation and working with a lender and why that's important. We'll jump into that, and I've got some great contacts for you. And then we're going to get into the home search. So, this is the exciting part. This is where I take all the information you've told me about what you want for your home, and then we're going to put that into action in the MLS. So, the MLS is the multiple listing service, which is where all of the other agents like me upload their listings to first. So, all of the real-time data is there, all of the disclosures are going to be there. So anything that is materially affecting the value of the property is seen there in the MLS. So I can get all of the details. Once we find the house that you love, we're going to make an offer on it. And then as we're going through the process and negotiating and everything, I've got contacts for getting a home inspector in there. We're going to find everything there is to know about the property before you make that final purchase. All right. And then the appraiser is going to come in. The bank is going to tell us what they think it's worth. Then we're going to get to closing, and then we're going to get you moved in. And I have resources for all of this. All right. So this is the fun part. This is the lifestyle profile. And now, in that initial phone call where we set this appointment, I did ask you a couple of these questions, so I know you're moving here from Texas and you've got to be here by the end of October. So tell me a little bit more about what life looks like for your family, after work on the weekends. What is your lifestyle like? What do you need to be in commute to? Is it churches, schools, play groups, anything like that that you need to be close to? Or maybe your work commute. Okay, so conversations like that is what we're going to use to get through this lifestyle profile sheet. It's kind of fun to fill it out with them in person. When you're doing this, make sure you're actively listening to everything that they say. And as you're taking notes, they're really going to understand, oh, this person gets me. They're writing everything down. They're understanding my wants and needs. And it's going to make you look more like a professional when you're really filling out this whole lifestyle profile. So I love it. You guys are eating this up. Yes, we really stepped up our game on this one, guys. I'm so glad that you're loving it. Good, 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 good. So we revamped the timeline here, the steps in the buying process. We made it, the words are a little bit bigger, so it's easier to read. It's no more like fluff here in the sidelines and things like that. It's kind of straight into the point. So when I am going over this with a client, this is in front of me and I have a pen in front of me and I am pointing to each one. So you're here, we decided to buy a home, you've met me. The next step is getting pre-approved. So have you taken the time to speak with any mortgage lenders yet? Or would you like me to send you some of my really good resources? And then you kind of chat a little bit with them about it. And then, all right, so next step is we're going to get, after this meeting today, I'm going to give you access to the MLS. And then as we work through this, the end goal is to get you to that move-in date by the end of October. All right. So there are some key terms to know throughout this buying process. And while I do this for a living, I hear these words all the time. If I'm ever going too fast or there's a word that you don't feel that you recognize, just tell me. And you can always use this as a resource sheet. So one thing that I do want to touch on is this PITI. So if this is your first home, and if this is their first home, explain what a mortgage payment is. This takes up a little bit of the presentation time, but it also is a really good education tool. If it is their first home, explain PITI, PITI. So a mortgage payment is made up of 4 different things: your principal, your interest, your taxes, and your insurance. So your taxes and your insurance are going to fluctuate throughout the time of your home ownership. So as we start shopping for properties and we look for homes, we can actually send the home that you're interested in to your mortgage lender, and they'll be able to give us a breakdown of what your estimated monthly payment will be for that specific property. So that's going to help us in making our offer, for making sure that all the numbers make sense for you. And so when I'm discussing, like, sidebar, when I'm discussing the PITI with clients, they are actively taking notes. And it's a super important part to kind of touch with them, because They don't know what that is. A lot of times if they're buyers and this is their first home, they've been renting and their rent is the same every single month. And then this is a good place to talk about the taxes and how they fluctuate and things like that. So if you've got a really analytical buyer and you need to go over the numbers, that's a good talking point on this sheet. Everything else is kind of self-explanatory. And when I am talking about the escrow deposit, I like to say the words initial deposit because escrow can be used so many different ways. So in order to simplify it, I just let them know there's an initial deposit that's due once we go under contract within the first 3 days. So the whole idea of this is really dumbing down the situation, but also showing them how much is involved and how much you have their back. All right. This looks amazing. Thank you so much, Angelique and Sam. Yay. Everyone's saying thank you. You guys are thebomb.com. Okay. We know. We love it. We're so excited to have this. So, all right. The power of the pre-approval. So, the reason that having a pre-approval letter is so important is because it really is going to take into consideration upfront your income, your assets, your credit history, your employment, and any revolving debt that you have. So the way that the lender calculates what you can afford is actually off of your revolving monthly debt payments. So if you have student loans and say you have about $40,000 in student loans, what the lenders actually look for is if your monthly payment is $250 a month. So that's the number that the lender is going to be working off of, not the total amount of debt, but that monthly revolving debt amount. And so having this pre-approval is going to be important when we do go make an offer on your property, because this shows the seller that you are ready, willing, and able to purchase this property specifically. And we've already looked at all of this income and assets information, which shows that you are a strong buyer. All right. And so part of the process too that I like to hit on is what not to do while we are shopping for homes. And those include these things here. So no changing bank accounts. It just kind of looks sketchy. No applying for new credit or closing any credit accounts. When you do that, it skews that debt to income ratio. And no depositing cash, like large amounts of cash into your bank. Typically, if you do that, the bank can't count that money. It has to cure in the account for 60 days. So unless it's a gift from a family member and we can work with that with your lender, try to avoid that. All right. No making any large purchases because you're about to make a very large one on this house. So we're going to do one thing at a time. No co-signing on other loans for people because that again adds debt for you, which skews what you can afford. And I highly recommend that you stay in your current position. All right. So no changing jobs and companies as that can affect what you can afford as well. So there are some differences between closing costs and down payment. So this all comes into effect with how much money you need to bring to closing as the buyer. So I really like to hit on this point so that you know what you need to save for throughout the transaction. All right. So the closing costs, what are they? They're processing fees that must be paid in order to transfer title to you as the new owner. So what they include are you're basically paying, so homeowners insurance is paid for in a year in advance. So your full homeowners insurance policy will be paid at closing. You're going to be paying a couple months of your taxes up front, and it's being held in what's called an escrow account. So I like to view this as a savings account, basically. So remember we talked about PITI for your mortgage payment? So your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance are all part of your mortgage. And what happens every single month in your mortgage payment is your taxes and your insurance get put into a savings account, an escrow account. And so each year, your lender is going to pay your taxes and your new homeowner's insurance policy in full for you out of the savings account that you've been paying into monthly with your mortgage payment. Does that make sense? So what we like to do at closing is kind of boost up that savings account. So you're going to be putting a couple months of taxes into that savings account to make sure that when your taxes do get reevaluated in January, you've got enough money to cover that overage to pay the difference. So you're not coming out of pocket so much. So that's part of your closing costs is you're kind of putting a money away for you to use next year. All right. And then any fees that are associated with transferring the title through the county and things like that are included. And then you've also got things to worry about while we're under contract. Don't say worry about. That was just because I'm on the fly here. Okay. Don't say worry. Anyways, there are some things that will need to be paid for while we're under contract. And then sidebar again, what I did last time that I presented this with the timeline, the client actually asked me, at what part in the timeline will I need to pay these fees? And so that's where I could say, back here on the timeline, during our inspection period, we're going to have costs for the home inspection. And then I actually have my pin, old school. I know my dad's probably laughing, but I get my pin out and I'm like, the home inspection is going to be roughly about $500. Depending on if we need additional inspections or not, this is a safe thing to just save for right away. And then the appraisal sometimes is paid for outside of closing. They're running about $600 right now. And then the survey is where somebody comes and draws boundary lines around your property so that you know exactly where your home is and sits on the lot and what's part of your yard. All right. So the survey is generally about $350. So have these things ready while we're under contract. This is also a good place to let them know about the initial deposit and how much it is. So your initial deposit is generally about 1% of the purchase price, sometimes a minimum of $5,000, depending on price range. So having that available within the first 3 days, then we'll need the inspection money. And then your closing costs are generally going to be about 3%, 3 to 6% of the loan amount. So depending on what your purchase price is, this number will vary. And part of what your closing costs include are what we just talked about, but also realtor fees. And so I'll jump to that here in a second. Mom, we need to put realtor fees in here. Sidebar. All right. Work in progress. We're working on it. But yeah, I think we need to include that here too. All right. And then, so your closing disclosure is what the lender is going to provide for you. And it's going to have all of these closing costs line by line. So you'll know exactly what you need to bring to the closing table. All right. And what I'm going to do is when we do find a property for you, I'm going to basically send that to the lender. And so we're going to have an idea before we ever even offer what is estimated for you to bring to closing. And then here just goes into detail a bit. So what to expect throughout the transaction, right? As we go through the home inspections, the whole idea is to find every issue about the property possible that we can then use as a renegotiation tool if we need to. I recommend it for all homes. And if there's a home that's older and we need an extra sewer inspection or an AC inspection or something, I've got the people and the resources to get you through that process. And then as we start to get ready for closing, Century 21 does have an e-signing platform called Dotloop. So it's really easy. I can send you the documents and you can just click to sign. We've got people to help you set up the utilities and schedule movers. And if you work with Century 21, you can actually use this promo code and you can get 10% off of using pods, which is a great way to move. I've done it both times on mine and I would highly recommend. All right. And then before we close, we're going to have a final walkthrough. So we are actually going to go see the property again, make sure the seller's made any necessary repairs, make sure there's no giant holes in the wall and the plumbing is still working right. We're going to do our own mini inspection before we actually sign the papers. And then at the end of the transaction, there will be a quality service survey sent to you to let us know how we did throughout the transaction. So we aim for 5 stars on this. And if there's ever something I'm doing that you don't like, tell me and I'll fix it. All right. So are you ready? Let's get started. What do you guys think so far? I advise upfront costs, escrow, inspections, appraisal. Perfect, Lauren. Yep. That's perfect. Yep. Michael, you can talk about homestead too. Susie Brush says so good. Yes. Love it. It's very, very pretty. This is a listing of Cody's, I believe, and she graciously let us use her photos. They're beautiful. Awesome, awesome. All right. So this page kind of leads us into the buyer broker agreement. So how do you transition from talking about the transaction to also you have to sign this document and you're paying me 3%. So this is kind of the page that's going to lead us into that. So we know this process can be both very exciting, but also very scary. So do you have any questions about what we just went over? And maybe give them time to kind of talk about all of that and then answer any questions and then say, okay, well, in order for us to get started and take that next step, I'm going to set you up on the MLS and make sure that you are getting access to all of these homes that you love. And then we can start showing. But before we do, this is our buyer broker agreement. So this agreement outlines how I am going to represent you throughout the transaction and what I ask for you as the buyer throughout the transaction. And then that's where we can walk through the agreement. So if you guys want to do that, let's walk through the agreement real quick also. All right, so the buyer broker agreement would go here, and then this is the final page. Thank you. As your trusted real estate agent, we are here to provide you the expertise and dedication needed to find you the perfect home. So you can kind of summarize this and say thank you however you'd want, but this is our new buyer agreement. So it is 13 pages. It's short and sweet, but jam-packed with value. All right. Do you guys want me to go through the buyer broker agreement? We have 4 minutes and I can show you how I will be presenting it, kind of give you some text behind it. Carolina says yes. Okay, perfect. I'm going to do that. Let's go ahead and stop the share and I'm going to pull up the buyer broker agreement. All right, we'll do it real quick. And so also I've done a screen share with my little face explaining the buyer broker and have put a script to it. So you guys will have access to that and you can listen to it and internalize the script so that you feel really comfortable presenting the buyer broker agreement. All right, let's pull it up. So this is the transaction broker. This is the EBBA 7TB. Okay, this is what we're working on. Here it is. Perfect. So this is our buyer broker agreement. And what this does is outlines what my obligations to you are as your real estate agent and what I ask of you as a buyer throughout the transaction. So this agreement is between you and me and our brokerage here with Century 21. So this agreement will start today. And I know that you need to be in a home by the end of October. So this is a 6-month agreement, but by the time you buy the house, this agreement will be done by then. All right, so the idea here is to find you a primary residence in the Tampa Bay area. So my obligation to you as the broker will be to use all of my knowledge and skills, all of my resources to make sure that I am finding you a suitable property and making sure that you know everything possible about the property. And I will be negotiating on your behalf, working with the other agents and making sure you have a smooth experience. Now, I do work with other buyers as this is my full-time job. So just disclosing that. I do operate under fair housing laws and any third parties that I do give you, they are only third parties. I'm not affiliated with them. So you're able to use anybody that you'd like. So then what I ask for you as the consumer is just to be open and honest with me throughout the transaction. So if I'm sending you documents to sign, please return them timely, communicate well with the lender. The faster you get them the documents they need and we get these documents signed, the faster we can move through the process. So it's really all about being open and just communicating. And then being open to when we go to see properties. So I'm going to work my schedule around yours. I know you've got your own full-time job, so I'm available after work hours or on the weekends if needed to see properties for you. All right. So Century 21 does not charge a retainer, but we do charge a fee for representing you as your buyer's agent. So Century 21 Beggins charges 3% of the purchase price plus a $325 transaction fee. And what this fee covers is that safety and storage I told you about and using our e-signing platform. So you're actually going to have access to all of your house closing documents forever. So you can always come back to this folder and where your documents are stored. And then this fee of 3% is payable by the seller as well. So my goal is going to be to have the seller cover this fee for you. In the event that the seller is not paying the full 3% or they're not paying any commission at all, this is a buyer closing cost, but you'll know well ahead of time whether this is being paid for or not and how much money will be due at closing. All right, so I'm not hiding anything. You're going to know exactly what you need to bring to the table. And then there are two other ways that Century 21 can earn compensation. One would be if you were to sign a lease with a company, and the other would be if you were to enter into an option contract. And really, neither one of these are going to be entertained because we are here to buy you your primary residence. So there is a protection period to this contract. And what that means is if you do decide to terminate this agreement, but you do end up purchasing a property that you and I had worked on together, that within 45 days of terminating the agreement, Century 21 Beggins is still due compensation. You can terminate this agreement at any time. Century 21 Beggins charges a $500 fee to cancel. But really, if it ever comes to this, like just tell me if there's something that I'm doing that you don't like, because my goal is to make sure that you are getting to the closing table and you're happy throughout the entire transaction. So if there's ever something I'm doing that you don't like, tell me and I'm going to do my best to fix it so that we don't even get to this point. And then if you tell me and I'm really just messing up bad, this paragraph says that we would go to mediation first. But I really don't see us getting to that point. All right. And then as your broker here representing you, it is my job to be honest and fair throughout the entire transaction. I will make sure to disclose all known facts about the property that are going to affect the value. You're going to know everything there is, and I've got your back. So I'll be negotiating on your behalf and working with the other agents throughout the transaction. All right, so that's our agreement. Mr. Buyer, I'll have you sign here, and Mrs. Buyer, I'll have you sign here. I'll get this signed and I'll send it in and get you guys a fully executed copy of this. And I can go ahead and get you set up on the MLS today. We'll start shopping. And there you go. What do you guys think? Does that sound like a script that you could internalize? Awesome. Awesome. Hi, Jessica. Do you have a list of resources of people that you can share with us? Yes, I do. I've got some good inspectors that I use, some good mortgage lenders. So yeah, I can share that with you guys for sure. Yes, yes, awesome. Extremely easy and flowing. Yay. Yes, yes, yes. Thanks, Natalia. Yay. We are going to make realtors look good, guys. We are here. This is not a chance for us to go downhill and earn $500 for showing a house. And by the way, Century 21 Beggins, we do all this work for you. We work really hard. We are a full service brokerage. So we are going to have a minimum commission in place. And I know Jimmy and Chris and my dad have all talked about it. So we're not going out there just willy-nilly being Uber drivers showing properties, right? We are a full service brokerage. We are a full service agent and we earn our fee and we give a ton of value. So I just wanted to hop on today and do this presentation as we would if we were sitting down with a client. So with me chatting in and out throughout this conversation, we're at 9:33. So this is about, it's a 30-minute presentation with your client. So go out, get some coffee. If you want to hop on Zoom with them and go through the Moxie presentation of this, I think either is going to be a really great option. But I do think that going through this, explaining the process, it's almost like word vomiting our value, but it's short and simple, but also a ton of value. And that's what we have to show, because not that we want to scare the buyers a little bit, but we kind of want to, because we're awesome at what we do. And this is our full-time job. They have their own full-time job. So I think reiterating that is important. Yep. We have to word vomit to protect our value. You're right. We do, because we're awesome. Yay. Well, awesome, guys. We are so excited about this, having this done and ready now that we are here. It is here. The MLS compensation is gone. We need our buyers to sign this. So I'm really glad you loved it. We're going to get this presentation out to everybody, and then stay tuned for the Moxie version of this. We'll be ready by the end of the week. All right. Well, happy Wednesday. I will see you all at 1 p.m. today in the Apollo Beach office, 1 to 3. And we are going to talk about the listing side of this buyer broker situation. All right, guys. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm so glad you loved it. We'll get it out to y'all. Have a good Wednesday. Bye.